We have some major breaking news as it looks like NASCAR might be wanting to settle the lawsuit against 2311 in Front Row Motorsports. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel and welcome back to our video. As I just said a second ago, we got some pretty massive major breaking news this late evening as it has been announced that NASCAR is looking to potentially settle the lawsuit between themselves and 2311 and Front Row Motorsports. Here's the statements from tonight. NASCAR in a new court filing tonight has called for an order directing the parties to participate in a judicial settlement conference to be convened by the court and appointing a judicial officer such as the magistrate judge to preside over the settlement conference. To continue on, as Adam Sir reported about 10 minutes ago, NASCAR has called for a settlement. Following the hearing, one of the 2311 racing owners stated, "We're always been open to a settlement, always have been. This is an area where the parties are actually in full agreement. NASCAR would also like to resolve this case prior to trial." This is definitely a really big deal. Obviously, we've heard rumors throughout this lawsuit so far that 2311 has said that NASCAR has not been willing to be open to a settlement. Of course, 2311 Front Row have stated publicly, their lawyer Jeffrey Kessler has stated multiple times they do want to settle from time to time. If there's certain things that can be gone through, they'll be able to find a way to settle. Meanwhile, NASCAR said, "We've been open to settle, but 2311 and Front Row Motorsports haven't been able to settle." But when the hearing happened a couple weeks ago, back I believe 2 or 3 weeks ago, as a matter of fact, basically 2311 Front Row then eventually said, "Yeah, we actually be open to a settlement if we kind of get what we want at this point." There's a couple things to kind of take a look at in this situation. Obviously, we kind of got reports this past week. There was a summary judgment motion that was filed by NASCAR against 2311 and Front Row Motorsports. It seems like NASCAR might be interested more now in trying to settle this lawsuit before it even gets to trial. Remember, the original trial date is supposed to take place on December 1st. Meanwhile, over the weekend, there were some reports that came out with the summary judgment motion that a lot of team owners are in support, it seems like, in NASCAR at this point, and many were in support of the charter system altogether, which I got to say something real quick here. 2011 and Front Row have never been against the charter system altogether. They just want everything to be equal and to be the best for park teams. One of the reasons why, though, and we'll get to that in a second, but you had team owners like Brad Keselowski, Gordon Smith, Rick Hendrick, Joe Gibbs, I believe Carl Long, BJ McLeod, you name it, all these guys were in support and signed declarations and didn't want to purge, among other things as well. But the big thing here to kind of take a look at, I think one of the reasons why NASCAR does want to settle this before the trial even begins at this point in December is because they don't want to open up their books. And there's a lot of dirty secrets that have been translated. We saw some of the texts that came out over the last couple weeks, and it seems like there's a lot of nasty stuff that might be happening behind the scenes that many of us are finding out really quickly. Again, I think they don't want to open up the books, and I think they're scared. They don't want the sport to change a lot. They want things to be status quo. They want things to continue. So my big question is, if there's a settlement that does come into play between 2011 and Front Row Motorsports, would 2011 Racing be able to keep their charters going into next year? If that's the case, that's a positive for 2011 and Front Row Motorsports. Would NASCAR be willing to sit down and talk about changing up some of the things with the charter agreement for 2025? Could it not just benefit 2311 Racing and Front Row, but could it benefit the other teams? That's a big question I also have at this point with the settlement that is being talked about right now. But it is still a very big deal nonetheless, and it seems like we might be starting to have cooler heads prevail. And it seems like, obviously Judge Kenneth Bell has stated multiple times he's been urging both parties to settle many times before. He wants this all together to be settled, and he wants things to kind of be resolved between both sides. But Judge Kenneth Bell did say if this does go to trial altogether, which there's still a chance that possibly this settlement doesn't really work out in their favor, there is a chance and possibly that we could still have a ton of chaos that comes out from this, and there's a chance this won't settle altogether. But if NASCAR is willing to settle at this point, and I trust they may be wanting to be willing to settle at this point, why not take that chance and opportunity to finally sit down and let cooler heads prevail at this point? Also now just got an update from Bob Pockrass as well. NASCAR has asked the court to order a settlement conference mandated by a magistrate judge or other judicial officer. 2011 Front Row Motorsports want to continue using mediator, former NBA chief legal officer Jeffrey Mishkin, who already has presided over mediation/settlements talks in this case. So this is definitely a big update. I don't know much about the person that they're trying to get at this point, but this is definitely a really big deal. And again, the big thing to kind of look at here is I think NASCAR is kind of done with all the charade. They're kind of done with the lawsuit in general. And I think a lot of people in the industry, especially too, well, yes, it'd be a really cool deal to have like a court case to talk about during the off season. I think it'd be the best for NASCAR and 2011 Front Row at this point to go ahead and settle their differences and settle this lawsuit in general, because it's been going back and forth. It's been very tiring at times for sure. Obviously, the implications on drivers' contracts of Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick and Riley Herbst and Noah Gragson and Corey Heim and Zane Smith all have contracts where they're required to have charters. Do they get those charters back? That's a big question we have to ask. And what could happen to both organizations? There was a report that came out earlier tonight. I think it was by Jenna Fryer from the Associated Press. She mentioned that many people at 2011 have been urged, I believe by Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin, they have been urged to be prepared for 2026, that they're going to be taken care of for the 2026 season. But there's could be a lot of that happens behind the scenes that change things at this point. To me, though, I'm just ready for this whole thing to be over at this point. Again, there is still a chance this whole thing does go to trial, and I think there's a really strong chance and possibly we do go to a trial in 2026. But I hope we get this whole thing settled at this point. As much as it's been kind of fun to talk about this lawsuit from time to time, at the same token, same point, it has been very tiring to hear all this stuff. You find out some cool information, though, that you never thought you were going to hear. But at the same token, same time, I think we're all ready for this whole lawsuit to be over. And it seems like we might be headed toward at least some sort of resolution to figure out how this is all going to go. And I would definitely be happy if we do reach a settlement at this point. Would NASCAR be benefited altogether? That is a possibility. Would 2011 Front Row be benefited when this settlement? That is a possibility. What exactly could happen here, and what other people are going to get involved? I would expect people like Jeffrey Kessler to get involved. I would expect Kenneth Bell to be involved with it, considering he's been the judge presiding through this whole entire case since the second half of the case began. I would think he'll be involved in some way, shape, or form. So we'll see how things go going forward in the future with this lawsuit, but it seems like we might finally be headed toward a resolution, which I think would be the best thing for the sport at the moment. We'll see how things end up going. I really hope we do get a resolution at this point. Maybe we're finally going to get a settlement on the lawsuit. I really hope it happens. I think it'd be best for the sport if we can have it happen. We'll see if we do reach a settlement, and hopefully we do resolve this whole lawsuit in general, and now keep it focused on the on-track product instead of a lot of this stuff happening on the track, and focus on that going forward. So that is for tonight's special breaking news report on potential settlement coming between NASCAR 2011 and Front Row. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's get some more of that and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. What are thoughts about NASCAR asking for a settlement between them and 2011 and Front Row? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And do you think a judge will actually grant this settlement? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow morning on the channel, I'm going to be doing a video talk about which drivers I think will make the championship for all three series. Then, of course, there'll be some other content dropping as well. Wednesday, we'll have a NASCAR news video, discuss this news, talk about 2011, and then being confirmed for 2026. Some other news as well, potentially some competition stuff happening in the next couple days. We got a lot of really good content dropping soon on people like Haley Deegan, Shaman Gisborne, Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer, Frankie Muniz, Kyle Larson, Chase Light, Ryan Preece, Brad Keselowski, Clea Safran, Dodge, Ram, Eric Almirola, you name it, Connor Zoshi, Motorsports, Daniel Suarez, a lot of good stuff will be dropping on the channel in the coming days, in the coming weeks as well. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode. I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content, other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.